Hey everyone, and welcome back for another deep dive. Today, we're going to be looking at algorithms
Okay.
and job ads.
Okay.
Specifically, how these like behind the scenes systems,
Yeah.
the ones
Right.
might be impacting who sees what job opportunities
Yeah.
when they're like, searching online and all that.
Yeah, it's a really interesting area
Yeah.
because we think of algorithms as being this like neutral thing.
Right.
Just, they just sort information,
Right.
but they can actually perpetuate inequalities.
Yeah, and it's a big deal
Yeah.
because at least in the US, discriminating based on gender or race when it comes to employment,
Right.
like jobs or job advertising, is like a big no-no.
For sure.
So the researchers, they were really interested in whether these platforms, the Facebooks, the LinkedIn's of the world,
Yeah.
might be crossing the line even if they don't mean to.
Yeah. And that's the challenge, right? It's not like you can just look at an algorithm and
Yeah.
be like, oh, there's the bias.
Right. It's not that simple.
They're these big, complicated black boxes.
Yeah, how do you even study that?
Well, that's what's really clever about what these researchers did.
Okay.
They designed a really elegant experiment.
Okay, so walk us through it.
They couldn't just show people job ads and then be like, oh, look, more men saw this ad than women. It must be biased.
Right.
Because there are so many other factors at play.
Like maybe more men were just like actually interested in that job.
Exactly.
Okay.
So to get around this, they controlled for other factors using paired testing.
Paired testing. Okay.
So they picked jobs that require similar skills
Okay.
and that people generally think of as being like more male dominated versus female dominated.
Give me an example. I need to like wrap my head around this.
So like pizza delivery versus grocery delivery.
Okay.
Both involve driving customer service, maybe some heavy lifting.
Yeah.
But stereotypically, pizza delivery is like...
Yeah, it's like a dude on a scooter.
Exactly.
Okay.
And grocery delivery is a little more neutral.
Interesting. Okay, so they put out ads for these like paired jobs on Facebook and LinkedIn. Okay. And then they compared whether men and women were being shown the ads differently.
And they also did this with more white-collar jobs, like software engineers,
Oh, interesting. Okay.
comparing companies that have very different ratios of men to women.
So they're trying to see if the algorithm is picking up on existing gender imbalances.
Right. Are they making those imbalances even worse?
Fascinating.
Yeah.
Okay, so they set up these clever pairings,
Yeah.
put them out there into the world of Facebook and LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Drum roll, please.
Yeah. Chuckles.
What did they find?
Well, on Facebook, the results were actually really striking.
Okay.
They consistently found that men and women were being shown different ads,
Wow, really?
even for these like very similar job types.
So like Facebook's algorithm might be seeing that there are more men in tech
Right.
and then just kind of going with that.
It's like the algorithm is looking at our very flawed world and saying, well, this is how it's always been, so I'll just keep doing it this way.
Wow, that is kind of alarming.
Yeah.
Okay, but what about LinkedIn? Did they find the same thing there?
Well, this is where it gets interesting.
Okay.
On LinkedIn, they largely did not see that same level of difference.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh. So LinkedIn's doing something different.
It seems like it. Yeah.
This is fascinating. We'll dig into this LinkedIn bezel more when we come back. Don't go anywhere. Okay, so before we went away, it sounded like LinkedIn wasn't showing the same bias as Facebook.
Yeah, it was really interesting.
Yeah.
On Facebook, we saw those ads being shown to men more often than women, even when the jobs were like, pretty similar.
Right.
But on LinkedIn, it was way more even.
Okay, so what's going on there? Is it just like chance, or is LinkedIn's algorithm actually like better at this whole fairness thing?
Well, it's hard to say for sure, but
Yeah.
one thing the researchers pointed out was that Facebook and LinkedIn use very different types of data.
Oh, that's true.
Facebook has all that information about your social connections, the things you like, your interests,
Right.
all of which can reflect like societal biases, right?
Fully, yeah.
But LinkedIn is all about your work history.
Yeah, it's like your professional profile.
Exactly. So their algorithms might be less influenced by those broader, like social patterns.
So instead of assuming that someone who likes, I don't know, like a certain brand of like outdoorsy clothing is more likely to be interested in a construction job,
Right.
which we know is like a totally outdated stereotype.
Totally.
LinkedIn might look at whether someone actually has like construction skills listed on their profile.
Yeah, and that actually brings up a really interesting question about fairness in algorithms.
Okay.
Is it enough to just avoid doing the wrong thing? Like avoid replicating the biases that already exist?
Right.
Or should we be trying to actually make things more equitable, even if it means going against those old patterns?
It's like, are we aiming for colorblind or anti-racist, but like in an algorithm.
Exactly. And it seems like algorithms could be a force for that, like actually making things better.
That's a cool thought.
But
Yeah.
we don't know for sure if that's what LinkedIn is doing, right?
Right. It's still kind of a black box.
We don't know all the factors that their system is considering or how those factors are weighted.
Yeah, it could still have bias, even if they're trying not to.
Exactly.
Okay, so we don't know everything, but it sounds like focusing on skills and experience instead of those like broader social signals could be a good step.
It's definitely promising.
Okay, well, speaking of things that are maybe less promising, the researchers also found something kind of interesting about how the goal of an ad campaign, like what the advertiser is actually trying to achieve,
Right.
can influence who sees the ad.
Yeah, this is a really important detail.
Yeah, so break that down for me, because it seems like if an advertiser wants to hire someone, they want to hire the best person for the job.
Right. It seems straightforward.
Yeah, so how could like the goal of the ad make a difference?
Well, advertisers can actually use these algorithms to try to maximize different things.
Okay.
Like they can try to get as many people as possible to just see the ad.
So like just more eyeballs on the ad.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Or they can set it up to prioritize what we call conversions.
Conversions.
So that means getting people to actually click on the ad and apply for the job.
Oh, okay.
And what they found is that this little difference can have a big impact on who the algorithm decides to show the ad to.
Wait, really? So like if the goal is just to get people to see the ad,
Yeah.
the algorithm might show it to a wider range of people.
Right. It's just about reach at that point.
Okay.
But when it's focused on conversions, it might start relying on these like shortcuts or assumptions.
Okay, I see where this is going.
It might be like, well, this company has mostly male engineers, so I'm going to show this engineering job ad to more men.
Because the algorithm has like learned that pattern.
Exactly. It's using historical data to try to predict the future.
But that just perpetuates the problem.
Right. And that's why this whole transparency thing is so important.
Yeah.
Because right now we have no idea how those conversion objectives are being set up or what data the algorithms are using.
It's like the algorithm is playing chess, but it learned by studying games from like 100 years ago.
Yeah.
Like it might be good at chess, but its strategies are totally outdated.
Exactly. And that's why this research is so important.
Yeah.
It's a wake-up call. We can't just assume these things are neutral and objective.
We need to be asking some tough questions.
Yes. How are they designed? What data are they using?
And what are the consequences? Like, are they actually making the world a more equal place, or are they making it worse?
Exactly.
Okay, this is a lot to think about. We need like a serious upgrade to our algorithmic operating system or something.
I think we do.
But before we get to the solutions, we've got one more segment in this deep dive. So we've spent a lot of time talking about some pretty heavy stuff, like how algorithms can actually make inequality worse.
Yeah, it's a little scary when you think about it.
It is, but I'm hoping that this isn't just a story about problems.
Yeah.
Like there have to be some solutions out there too, right?
No, absolutely. And the researchers in this paper actually offer some potential ways forward.
Okay, good. Because I was starting to lose hope a little bit.
Well, the first step is acknowledging the big problem, right?
Okay, and what's that?
That we don't actually know how a lot of these algorithms work.
Right, it's like that whole black box thing, right?
Exactly. We're trying to make these systems fairer, but we don't even know what's happening inside them.
So what can we do about that?
Well, the researchers argue that these platforms like Facebook and LinkedIn need to be way more transparent.
Okay, so you're saying like they need to open up the black box a little bit.
Exactly. Not necessarily giving away all their secrets, but at least telling us the general principles their algorithms are using.
So like, are they looking at gender? Are they looking at race? What factors are they using to decide who sees what?
Right. And are they using data that's already biased, from past discrimination?
Right, because if we don't know what's going into the algorithm, we can't really fix it, can we?
Exactly. We need to understand the why behind the algorithm's decisions, not just the end result.
Okay, so transparency is important, but is there anything else we can do?
Well, we also need better ways of auditing these algorithms,
Auditing?
Yeah, like having independent experts who can go in and make sure these systems are actually playing fair.
Oh, so it's not enough to just take Facebook or LinkedIn's word for it
Yeah.
that their algorithms are unbiased.
Right. We need independent verification, like a system of checks and balances.
I like that idea. So it's about making the whole process more accountable, not just the algorithms themselves.
Exactly. And that's going to require a lot of collaboration, between the tech companies, policymakers, researchers, even everyday users like us.
It sounds like we all have a role to play in this.
Absolutely.
Well, this has been a fascinating and honestly kind of concerning deep dive.
It really has.
But I think the main takeaway here is that We can't just assume that algorithms are neutral.
Right, they're not objective. They're shaped by the data they're given and the people who design them.
Exactly. And if we want them to create a more equitable world, we need to be paying attention, asking tough questions, and demanding better.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
And on that note, we'll wrap up this deep dive. Thanks to everyone for listening, and we'll see you next time for another exploration of the algorithms that shape our world.